This story focuses on Ben, an art student. Right at the beginning, we're thrown into an intense argument between Ben and his girlfriend Susie, an argument that quickly spirals into a breakup. Their relationship ends abruptly. A few weeks later, in the campus cafeteria, Ben sees Susie already with a new guy. Watching his ex move on so quickly makes Ben even more miserable. He sits alone, questioning love and why he's the only one stuck in his feelings. Soon, Ben is joined by Sion, his friend who likes to think he's a ladies' man. Sion confidently claims he knows everything about women, telling Ben he should just move on already. But let's be honest. His dating history tells a very different story. Ben, who is an art student close to graduation, attends an anatomy drawing class. The model for the day is an elderly man posing nude. Given his current emotional state, Ben can't really focus. He's utterly uninterested in what's right in front of him. Ben sketches half-heartedly, his mind drifting elsewhere, even feeling like the class is too short. He even gets called out by his professor for his lack of concentration. Ben lives in a student dorm near campus. Every night, he's tormented by loud noises coming from the room next door. It's the unmistakable sounds of other students having sex. Ah, dorm life. Just another reminder of how sad and single you really are. It only makes his mood worse. Unable to move on, Ben eventually tries reaching out to Susie again. He desperately hopes there's a chance they might get back together. But Susie flat out rejects him. From that point on, Ben sinks deeper into depression. He becomes insomniac, unable to sleep, spending nights staring blankly at old pictures of himself and Susie. Time itself begins to torture him. Constantly haunted by memories of Susie, Ben feels like each minute is crawling by painfully slow. Ben feels trapped in slow motion. He starts wandering aimlessly, hopping on random buses with no destination in mind, just trying to escape his own thoughts. One day, wandering around, Ben finds himself in a supermarket. Inside, he notices a cashier who looks completely drained, expressionless, and working mechanically, clearly lacking enthusiasm. Nearby, he spots a help-wanted poster for a night shift position. Without hesitation, Ben applies for the job. For Ben, this isn't about money. It's about filling the void left by his heartbreak, an attempt to stop obsessing over Susie. Soon he gets a call from the supermarket manager, Jenkins, a bald guy who suspiciously resembles Jeff Bezos. Long story short, Ben gets the job. Working night shifts during a time when the rest of the world sleeps, his mind ironically becomes louder than ever. Ben tries to transform his wasted hours into something productive. He calls this concept cashback, and so begins the story of cashback.
When you see someone walking down.
In the locker room, Ben meets Sharon, the female cashier he'd noticed before. Today, she's late again, clearly not for the first time. Sharon seems like someone who struggles to manage her time. Initially, the manager gets mad, but his anger softens quickly because, well, Sharon's a woman, and he clearly has a soft spot for her. Sadly, Ben's new job isn't the perfect solution he'd hoped for. He's still distracted, unproductive, and more spaced out than ever, constantly reminded of his ex.
Don't just stare at it, Ben.
Being an art student, Ben often observes his surroundings meticulously, especially the female customers shopping around. He finds himself captivated by their forms and curves. Yeah, admit it. We've all done it, right, guys? To Ben, the female body represents a breathtaking work of art. But while lost in admiration,
Are you going to clean them up?
aside from customers, Ben also starts observing Sharon. She always hides her watch. Turns out, Sharon has a phobia of time itself. For Sharon, checking the time only makes everything drag slower. Comment down below if you ever felt that waiting actually made time move slower. Happens to me all the time. Ben also has two coworkers, Barry and Matt. They're a pair of absolute jokers, always clowning around and causing trouble. Ben's days turn monotonous. Still unable to sleep, each night feels endless. For most people, time passes normally, but for Ben, it's become a cruel trap. Every minute feels like an hour. Every hour feels like a day. Every day feels like a month. Every month feels like a year. Till one day, Ben has an epiphany. If time can slow down... Wait, is our guy seriously starting to hallucinate now? Maybe he can control it. Ben starts experimenting with his perception of time, focusing deeply, until finally he reaches the point where he can manipulate time, speed it up, slow it down, or even stop it completely. Oh boy, things just got interesting. Be honest, if you could freeze time, what's the first thing you'd do? Comment below, I dare you. The first time Ben successfully stops time, he feels incredibly strange. Everyone around him is frozen. The supermarket is completely still. No sound, no movement, only Ben can move freely. And amidst this frozen world, Ben notices the female customers around him. Beautiful, sexy, and motionless. At this moment, Ben reveals something personal. He's deeply fascinated by the beauty of the female form. Not because he's a pervert, well, mostly, but because he genuinely views it as the ultimate artistic inspiration. His fascination dates back to childhood, when he was once babysat by a teenage girl from Sweden who had the habit of bathing with the door open. Ever since then, Ben has experienced a gentle thrill, not in a creepy way, just pure admiration. Maybe he was just shocked, or maybe he simply discovered beauty for the first time.
I felt fascination. To this day, I still...
He dropped these.
Now that time is completely stopped, Ben does something he's always fantasized about doing. Don't pretend you haven't thought about this either. Come on. What would you do if you had Ben's powers? Pause the video right here and comment below. He carefully undresses all the women customers. But it's not about lust, rather a chance to appreciate and sketch their natural beauty from an artistic perspective. For Ben, it's a rare artistic opportunity, capturing this perfect stillness onto his canvas. Art or perversion? Be real. If you were in Ben's shoes, would you draw or do something you'll regret? Later, back at his dorm, Sean visits again. Seeing Ben's messy appearance and tired eyes, Sean immediately guesses he's still hung up on Susie. Without missing a beat, Sean gives his trademark advice. Move on, find someone new, someone hotter, and definitely sexier than Susie. Classic Sean logic right there. At this point, we see clearly who Sean really is, a guy who's always been a bit perverted, even back when he was just a kid. When they were younger, Sean convinced Ben to sneak into his dad's adult magazine collection. You know exactly the type. For Sean, it was just casual fun. But for young Ben, it was an unforgettable experience filled with excitement and curiosity. We've all had that awkward first discovery moment, right? Right? Mom! And these experiences stick with Ben even now. Then, Seon takes his advice to a whole new level of crazy. He suggests that the fastest way for Ben to heal is to have sex with Natalie. Natalie is known to be very open to that kind of thing. Apparently, Seon has known her since they were kids. He used to randomly show up at her house with shady intentions. Dig a little deeper and it turns out Seon's brain has always been a bit messed up.
50p.
Yeah. What the actual hell? But the shock doesn't end there. Seon's not the only one. Okay, this just turned into a full-on frat house horror story. Needless to say, that advice wasn't something Ben was going to act on. While working another shift, Ben starts to notice Sharon watching him. There's something in the way she looks at him that makes him nervous. Later that night, they run into each other again in the locker room. Ben, holding a sandwich with pickles, just awkwardly blurts something out. Sharon, being blunt and no nonsense, surprisingly doesn't scare him off. In fact, it kinda turns him on. It's always the ones who talk straight that hit you the hardest. In that quiet, awkward locker room, Ben tries once again to stop time. Kagebunshin no jutsu. Oops, wrong universe. But this time, it doesn't work. Time doesn't stop. It just slows down. Translation? Ben's catching feelings hard. Apparently, when Ben starts to feel emotionally safe, when he's falling for someone, his time-freezing powers vanish. Turns out, Ben's growing attraction to Sharon isn't going unnoticed. Matt and Barry, those two chaotic morons, start teasing him. Then Matt drops a bombshell. He claims he once had sex with Sharon, and even filmed it. Ben, shaken, loses all courage to get close to her. He backs off. Scene shift, flashback time. We go back to Ben's childhood. He once had a crush on a classmate named Taya. One day, Taya got into an accident and broke her arm. Her cast became a canvas. Everyone, including Ben, drew on it. But when the cast came off, her arm was covered in thick hair, like full-on gorilla mode. The kids started bullying her. Ben, though, comforted her, told her it didn't matter. And that made Taya like him even more. Then, right in that moment, little Ben made his move. Yup, he asked her out. My guy went from zero to love confession real quick. And guess what? She said yes. One day, they were just hanging out in the schoolyard. Out of nowhere, Taya asked Ben if he wanted to kiss. And Ben freezes. This shy, awkward little dude short circuits. He blurts out he's not ready yet, then asks if they can meet tomorrow instead. Yeah, tomorrow, which just so happens to be a school holiday. Nice one, Ben. The next day, this poor guy actually shows up at school, hoping to see her. But nope, no Taya. Then when school finally starts again, Ben finds out the truth. Taya didn't skip. She transferred. Gone. Just like that. And boom! That's how Ben got hit with his first love and his very first heartbreak. Sad boy activated.
Attention students, love's been delayed. Holiday hit, transfer made. Kiss rescheduled, sorry denied. Sign here for heartbreak, see you outside.
Yeah, but nothing like that.
A few days later, Sion drops by Ben's place again. Yup, him again. Ben tells Sion he likes a coworker, but now he's unsure, since Matt claimed he'd slept with her and recorded it. Sion, as always, throws in his 2 cents. He scoffs, saying filming something like that isn't easy. And from his experience, for a guy who talks big, his track record is trash. Time passes. And then, suddenly, the supermarket manager gets challenged by a rival store. Out of nowhere, an inter-supermarket futsal match. Because why not? The manager gathers the whole night shift crew, announces they're entering the match, and demands that everyone be ready to fight for glory. He's hyped. Problem is, his team is made up of exhausted, half-dead night shift workers. Game day arrives. Their opponent, a massive, well-trained supermarket team. The match kicks off. Within minutes, the scoreboard looks like this. The manager grows more desperate. Meanwhile, Ben's not even trying to play. He's just watching Sharon standing at the edge of the field. Time slows down even more, until Ben stops time again. He's exhausted. So he casually walks off the field, grabs a drink, and takes a breather. But suddenly, he hears something. Ben looks around, confused.
Hello?
To his surprise, there's someone else moving in this frozen moment. Someone else can walk in the stillness. Ben's not the only one who can stop time. Plot twist unlocked. The game resumes, and the manager takes a ball to the nose. Full impact. Blood everywhere. Chaos. Matt, clearly the one who caused it, orders Ben to escort Sharon home. After the game, Ben and Sharon go to a quiet little cafe. The vibe is soft. Just the two of them. Finally, Ben asks what's been on his mind. "What's going on between you and Matt?" Sharon, blunt as always, says, "We're just friends." Ben, still unsure, tells her Matt claimed they had sex and even recorded it. Sharon immediately denies it. Ben breathes a massive sigh of relief. They continue talking. Sharon opens up. She's tired of working at the supermarket. She feels like her days are just dragging on. Slow, meaningless. She confesses her dream is to become a flight attendant. Ben, in turn, admits he's always wanted to be an artist, own a gallery, exhibit his work. That's the dream. This moment pulls them closer. Something sparks. Later, Ben walks her back to her apartment, and before she goes inside, it's awkward, stiff, but something real is starting to grow. The next day, all the male employees are summoned by the manager to the back room. Manager with bandaged nose. Still pissed about the futsal loss, he calls it a disgrace. But then he says he's planning a birthday party at his house next week, and to make it special, he wants a stripper. Guess who he assigns to find one? Yup, Ben, the shyest, most socially awkward guy on the team. Ben's totally out of his depth, so he turns to the only person he knows who's qualified for this job, Sean. Naturally, Sean jumps at the chance. He takes Ben straight to a shady bar. Ben's clearly overwhelmed, stiff as a board. They approach one of the dancers and offer the gig. She says she's busy, but she knows someone else who might be available. They make a deal. A few days later, Ben's back at work, and once again, he stops time. But this time, he's not wandering around the store like before. This time, he's focused on Sharon. He starts sketching her, every detail, every feature.
Pursuing her dream. Her delicate.
After the shift ends, Ben and Sharon meet again in the locker room. This time, Sharon starts the conversation. She asks Ben to be her date for the manager's birthday party. Also, can he pick her up? Ben agrees instantly. And before leaving, this time, the kiss isn't awkward. Ben heads home, and that night, for the first time in ages, he finally sleeps peacefully. The man is healed, kind of, but it doesn't stop there. Not long after, Ben gets a phone call from an art gallery. They say they're interested in his work. They want to offer him an exhibition. Unfortunately, it was all a prank from Matt and Barry. The night of the manager's birthday party finally arrives. Ben shows up looking sharp, excited. He picks Sharon up from her apartment. On the way, he tells her the good news. He might be getting his own art exhibition. He's determined to invite her once it's official. They head to the manager's house. And guess who's already there? Yup, Susie, Ben's ex. Apparently, she's now dating the manager's cousin. The party kicks off. Loud music, cheap disco lights, and of course, booze. Suddenly, the stripper Ben booked shows up and instantly steals the show. But here's the real twist. The stripper is Natalie. Yeah, that Natalie, the Swedish girl from Ben and Sion's childhood. She grew up and she grew into this. Wild. While everyone's partying, Ben excuses himself to go pee. Sharon stays behind, chilling in the crowd, and that's when the manager, being his usual creep self, and tries to hit on her. Sharon's not having it. She shuts him down. Meanwhile, in the bathroom line, Ben runs into Susie. She's clearly drunk, and right out of nowhere, she says, "I miss you." Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Then,
Why are you telling me?
Sharon sees it. Welp, GG, bro.
No.
Ben realizes what just happened. He's frozen. He knows this looks bad. Really bad. Ben eventually rushes over to Sharon's apartment to explain everything. But she's not interested in hearing excuses. She tells him straight, "I'm done. I don't want to see you again. She quits her job at the supermarket and disappears from his life. In the days that follow, Ben spirals back into sadness, sleepless again. But one goal remains. He still wants to have an art exhibition. He decides to go visit the gallery that called him before. Turns out, they never called him. It really was just a prank by Matt and Barry. Brutal. Ben is crushed. But before leaving, the gallery owner takes a look at Ben's sketches. He pauses. He sees something. Turns out, he's actually interested. There's potential there. And unexpectedly, he offers Ben a real chance at an exhibition. Ben knows Sharon wants nothing to do with him anymore, but he still sends her an invitation to the gallery show. The day of the exhibition arrives. Ben stands in the gallery, talking to guests about his work. He explains that his art comes from a deeply honest place. To him, the female body is an extraordinary piece of art. He doesn't draw to objectify, he draws to celebrate the beauty in human form and detail. Then suddenly, Sharon arrives. Sharon walks in. Her face is unreadable, but she notices something, a painting. It's her.
Hey.
A portrait of herself on Ben's wall. Ben takes this chance to explain the party incident. It was a misunderstanding, he says. He apologizes for hurting her. And finally, she forgives him. They share a kiss. And in that moment, time freezes again. Sharon looks around, confused. Everyone is frozen. Ben gently takes her hand and leads her outside. They walk into a silent snowfall. Stillness, white, beautiful. And just like that, the film ends. And so, Ben finally finds peace, not from winning anyone over, not from revenge sex or stripping Swedes, but from doing what every lonely artist eventually does, drawing his way out of heartbreak, one naked muse at a time. He learned that time doesn't heal everything, but freezing it for long enough, yeah, that buys you a moment to breathe. And sometimes, a moment is all you really need. Would I recommend falling in love with a coworker, quitting your job, and kissing your ex at a party in front of your new crush? Absolutely not. But hey, it worked out for Ben, kind of. Me? I'm still stuck in my apartment, eating cereal for dinner and talking to a cat who judges me harder than my therapist ever could. But if you liked this story, if you've ever stared at a clock hoping time would just stop, then maybe, just maybe, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, because while Ben might have found love in a gallery, I'm still here, watching films and oversharing my emotional baggage. See you in the next recap, or in the frozen stillness of a supermarket aisle at 3 a.m. This was Cashback.